I have to ask a question right off the top here because back in the day, and you would know this better than most people, back in the day, there were the metal guys and the punk guys.
Right.
And they were about as far apart as you could possibly get. Yet here we are, I guess maybe, I don't know, maybe 25 years later from those wars. I mean, wasn't there a show that you guys did with Anthrax, with DRI in Montreal, where there was some kind of battle, some kind of brawl?
Yeah, I wasn't at that show, but I heard that story. There's tons of shows.
It's notorious. Even with like hardcore kids and metal dudes, where like when they have like any shows that kind of like I have like Cannibal Corpse and like you know, I don't know, like Cro-Mags, for instance.
Right.
You know, dudes will just get in fights. Just, you know, one dude moshing the wrong way into another dude.
All right. Well, here's a situation. We got Anthrax, well-established metal band, Fall Out Boy, which you know, punky emo thing, coming together to form something else. I mean, that's in the old days that wouldn't have worked.
I think the lines are definitely blurred.
It's not. Yeah, it's. I think. It's also not as like cut and dry as like, let's just throw these two bands in a blender and see what it tastes like. It's like we're dudes that you know, we're in these other bands, but we also write other stuff and can do other things, and that's I think what this band is. But it has nothing to do with going, let's take one part Fall Out Boy, one part Every Time I Die, one part Anthrax, put it together and perfect. You know
I mean, there obviously has to be some sort of simpatico, some sort of chemistry there for you guys to get together in the first place.
And it's writing specific music for a specific band at the end of the day.
Sure.
I think the allure, or I guess not necessarily the allure, the kind of like confused dog look aspect, that thing, comes from the fact that you would never think anybody from Fall Out Boy would do anything musically with Anthrax.
No, because
or Every Time
when
I
I
Die.
first heard about the project, it was like the weird dog look. It was like, really?
Yeah.
Like, are you sure?
The confused pug.
Yeah. But this has been in the works for like 3 years.
Yeah, maybe like more like 4 even. I think when Scott and I started working on it, it took like probably 2 or 3 years till we could actually start doing it for real. And it went through like pretty natural progressions of like we're starting just to jam for fun. We're getting other people involved. Now it's kind of turning into some kind of project. Now it's officially a side project. Okay, now let's try to do it really as a band, not just as a side project.
Well, then you go into the studio with all these songs, and like layers and layers of guitars. So we got 3 guitars in this band. And then I guess you double on bass, right?
On the record.
On the record, yeah. Who do you have playing live?
Josh Newton, who's in Every Time I Die, and before that he's in some other cool bands.
Okay, so how many triple axe attack bands are there out there these days?
Not a lot that do it right.
No,
Yeah,
I mean, I'm
hard.
going back to
Maiden,
Judas Priest, maybe. That's it. I'm sorry, I can't think of any more.
It's not easy to do, and it wasn't like originally intended to be that way when we were kind of getting the band together. Rob came into the band later, and then nobody wanted to play bass, so it was kind of like had to be developed that way. And so I think we paid like extra special attention, and like when Rob and I were like, because Rob and I were like in the working in the studio the most out of anybody, I guess, like on the production aspects of things, and there's a lot of like attention to detail with like making 3 guitar players sound like 3 different guitar players that actually were doing 3 different things, but not always doing different things, and not trying to play over each other, not trying to go over the top. It was really tough. I mean, it wasn't out of our realm of capabilities, but it's tough to do that and like actually have people go, yeah, that works. Yeah, I noticed that that's actually 3 different
I've got through
guitar
the album
players.
several times on headphones, which is the way that you can really appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Because there's what was that song?
And everyone tries to listen to albums on their like crappy computer speakers.
or their little white earbuds. And it just doesn't come through. But I got these.
But they were free from Apple.
I got these giant headphones I got from Third Man Records.
Oh, cool.
And
those I bet are actually really good.
They are.
If Jack White put his name on it, they're probably good.
They're really good. So I'm listening to a song like Bad Blood.
Right.
And you hear all the little bits coming up, the little castanets that come out of nowhere, and that was you would never hear that on earbuds.
Yeah, and there's a lot of little things that kind of like that come out of nowhere, and we've worked really hard to we often like never would like we for instance like be like, okay, I got an idea for an overdub, and we'd find the tone for it, record it, and then we would never write down what combination of pedals and
purpose.
stuff on purpose, so we would never repeat it again. So like
really?
that tone.
So there's no
hear,
documentation. So when you wanted to, if you
there's
ever
only documentation of rhythms for one song, but we wouldn't repeat even like the settings of those rhythms on another song.
Okay.
So like there's never repetition of tone. There's a lot of different tones. Like there's a lot of different tones. We used a lot of different guitars. Actually, a lot of different amps.
Okay, I'm just going through the album in my head, and yeah, I see what you're saying,
Yeah.
because every song, you know, there's a common DNA to every song.
Yeah. Sure.
But yeah, the guitars are different
They're really different. Like they're
from track to track.
even like subtle, even subtle differences. I mean, I think for the like general music fan, they may not like be able to hear that just because if you don't have your ears trained to hear it, then you're not really going to be listening for it. But it is definitely the case. Yeah.
One of the things I like about the record is that, you know, who did all the lyrics? Was it Keith?
Keith wrote like 99%. You know.
Yeah,
Okay.
Like I think there was times where like, for instance, it's another thing where it's like, you know, when Keith would come in was in the studio and Rob, myself, and Keith would be sitting there, and there'd just be like a part where he'd be stuck on something, and we'd kind of try to brainstorm together to come up with something.
Well, what's really cool about the lyrics is that there's not an awful lot of rhyming couplets there. Each of these songs are like angry manifestos.
Yeah.
Where he just gets up there and spews.
Yeah.
And
It's kind of his style.
It's kind of nice not to have to worry about you know, is this line going to rhyme with that? It's
Yeah.
not necessary in this
Right.
particular
He's
case.
good at that. He's good with prose. He's a well-read, intelligent guy. I don't know like how much if you have listened to Every Time I Die at all, but his lyrics for Every Time I Die are also very
Pretty creative.
very creative and he's just sometimes you wonder where he got that idea from, where his head was at
Yeah,
when
yeah.
he got it. You know, he's just an incredibly intelligent, articulate person.
I think my favorite track on the album is the title track.
Thank you.
And I know I just like the driving drums that start it all off.
Yeah.
And then it's probably the angriest song on the record.
It is. Yeah, I think that's like probably the oldest of the batch of songs as well.
The I come from an era where I remember a lot of 70s rock and early 80s rock, and there's a nice mix of the contemporary with, I mean, I hear bits of Thin Lizzy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
It's pretty
On
heavy.
this
It's
record?
pretty heavy in there.
Yeah. And it's well, I mean, even the name of the band goes back to that old Black Betty song, right?
Yeah, which is just technically, technically Leadbelly. but,
Technically
yeah,
Leadbelly.
Yeah, but nonetheless, most people don't know that. So,
No,
but it was actually, I think, I don't think the damn things that lyric is in the Leadbelly version. It's only in the Ram Jam version. I think they kind of threw that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually have an old like original Leadbelly record. Like the recording is terrible and it has that song in there because it's actually.
Well, you don't want a good sounding Leadbelly.
Well, there is no good
Yeah,
selling. There's no such thing. But I mean, it's like worse than like going on like iTunes and getting the remastered. Like, I put that in quotes because it's never really that good sounding. But like, it's an original. I found it like at some record store like on Bleecker in New York. And I was like, I'll buy that thing. And I took it home. It's just like, you're gonna go, you know.
And that probably was the remaster.
Yep.
Yeah. So what does this mean for this for Fall Out Boy? Is there anything ever going to happen?
Fall Out Boy is just on this hiatus, and no one's working on it, and we're not paying attention to it or doing anything.
So
with
it's on
it.
the shelf for a bit.
It's on the shelf, and we don't know if and when we're going to pick it up and dust it off. But it's just on a hiatus. It's like I wish I had more to say about that.
What about Anthrax?
Anthrax is, basically we're finishing up the record finally. It's been a long time in the making. We did the Big Four tour, did the DVD, we got some more Big Four stuff coming up. So we're really excited about all that.
So how many years is this for you guys?
For Anthrax?
Yeah.
As a band? Oh God. That's a good question, actually.
Yeah, I was trying to think.
We did the 25-year anniversary not too long ago.
It's got to be like close to like 27 years. Or
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
Might be 28.
Yeah.
Did you ever think that you would ever last that long?
You know, I just think that with Anthrax, it's the kind of band where there's even the style of music it is. I mean, I don't think it's ever going to die.
No.
But the world is too screwed up. I mean,
And-
for
and-
progressive music to go away ever.
If you look at the bands that are out there right now, some of the longest lasting bands are metal bands
Yeah.
who have, carried the flag for the sound, for the community, since, well, in the case of Maiden, since the 70s.
Absolutely.
Since Judas Priest, since the 70s. Metallica's been going since, 80, 81.
Yep.
You guys, 27 years. Jesus. So it's the eternal music.
Yep. It's definitely not easy being in a band that long, I have to say.
Well, no. And the other issue is that you've seen so many changes in the music industry. I mean, back in the day, you would sell X number of records, and that could be considered your income. Not so much anymore.
Everything's upside down right now.
Yeah.
But I think the music business is going to definitely bounce back, just in a different way.
How? What do you think?
I don't really know. I know a lot of people have different theories as far as what's going to happen, and nobody really knows.
No theory is right.
And nobody knows.
You'll never know. It's still crumbling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely falling apart, but it's still like
somehow
guys are stepping down as heads of like labels, and they're trying to figure out who's
they're moving from label to label.
Yeah. They're getting, they're going, you step down, we'll give you an imprint, something like that. It's like, okay, great. It sucks. And like rock music as well is like, it's weird. It's going through a weird cycle right now. It's like all of a sudden you look at, for instance, like you look at the Grammys, and the bands that were indie rock bands that no one knew about are now the bands winning.
Yeah.
So now they're not so indie anymore. But rock music's coming back in different ways.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's all weird. Everything's weird. It's so hard to. I mean, I got the chance to like get on a major label and put out a record when people were still buying records, and then keep putting out records on labels until people stop. So I got to see it go from like it's still functioning and somewhat healthy to it's very sick to it's dying to it's dead. And it is insane. You just have to do it I think like, this sounds so cliche and cheesy, you have to do it because you love doing it. And you have to figure out like new, smart, innovative ways to try to make it your living, and you can't, like I think for a lot of new bands, I feel really bad for them. All of us screwed it up for them. But you can't go in there thinking like you're gonna make a record and sell it. People may hear it. Tons of people may hear it. They'll download it for free on the internet and listen to it, and hopefully come to the shows. Though again, people aren't coming to shows.
How do people hear
anymore.
about Damn Thing shows? How do people know about your music? Do you figure that they?
A lot of it is word of mouth.
A lot of it's word of mouth. I mean, again, the concoction, the combination of guys from this band, and this band, I think
Intrigue.
It's intriguing. It may not necessarily be seemingly palatable, though, as weird as it looks, it sounds a lot better than it looks, I like to think. But I think that helped, that piqued people's interest. And then from there, you just, I hate to say it, you have to be like, kind of have to be with it on the social networking, and you have to.
Well, Fall Out Boy was really good with that. You guys learned a lot about social networking.
Well, because when we started doing Fall Out Boy, people were still. It's so weird to say this because I still feel like the internet is really new. It's like people were still using AOL.
Yeah.
And so we would like do really like stuff that's like technically like you can get in a lot of trouble for now, like grab people's email addresses and just put people on like mailing lists and just send them stuff, go on like all sorts of message boards and just like essentially spam people. Back before back when that like still wasn't really a thing. So we like kind of just moved with it essentially, and so I think that's one thing we have going for us is with the Damn Things is we somewhat know how to use that stuff, though I feel like it's even moving too fast for me. And it's infuriating at the same time, because I think, at least for myself, and I know you feel the same way, everyone kind of wishes it would just go back to what it used to be, like people.
Or at least settle down into one thing.
Yeah, like at least stop moving. It's so hard, it's really tough to keep up. I mean, like Twitter's the current thing, and what's the next thing gonna be, And so I don't know. It's just, I guess that's how people found out about it. But Rob is right. Word of mouth, I think, is still the most heavy-handed way of people to get.
And touring too.
Of people to get their bands heard. I think at the end of the day, that was how it worked for Fall Out Boy, and I'm sure like at the beginning for Anthrax is the same way. Is check out this fucking cool band. Excuse my language. Check out this cool band. They're heavy. They're different. They're super fast. They're super aggressive. And you just got to play a lot of shows. That's the thing. If you're playing rock music and you're not touring,
you gotta tour.
then you're not doing it right. That's like you can be like you can make a big pop record and never really have to tour, and that's always kind of been a tried and true thing for like super pop artists. But if you're playing anything with like anything guitar based, you gotta go hit the road, man. Play shows, at least like play the local bars and stuff, and then get a name for yourself, like in your hometown or something, you know.
Well, I like the record very much. It's right down the middle between Anthrax and Fall Out Boy. It really is, with that little twinge of '70s spice in it.
Thank you.
So I wish you guys all the luck with this one. And if
thank you very much.
haven't heard the Damn Things album, you got to check it out. And Ironiclast.
That's it. That's the right one. Yeah.
Okay. Want to make sure I pronounce it right.
I appreciate it.
And if you like guitars,
yeah.
plenty of guitars on this record.
There's other stuff there's other stuff on there, but it's definitely it is very based around the guitar. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, thanks guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
And good luck with everything.
Thank you very much.
Explore Music wears English Laundry apparel.